Welcome back, Fantasy Balls members, team managers. Here we are, Week 10 recap, Rivalry Week. And boy, this was a good week, gents. This was a great week. Lots went down. Intense games. Lots of jokes being made at John's expense. But yeah, a good goddamn week, if I do say so myself. While Rivalry Week was great, I'm going to be a little quicker trying to get through the games. I did some statistics during the day while I was at work today. So I'm going to try to get through the games pretty quick so we can talk a little bit more about these statistics as we hit the halfway point of the season. So, fuck you, lungs. As we recap every week, we're starting with the game of the week, and this was a big one. Remember, Alec and Eddie didn't have any comments. Makes me question if they watched at all, but I posed that if Eddie won by 75 points, Alec would have to admit that he's a real person. And what happened? Alec won. Alec won the game. Alec won. Almost 30 points. Just about 30 points. Nice little win for Alec and the Drippy Droppers. Still in 5th place in the Upstate Division. Boy, is that Upstate Division looking tough. Boy, is it looking tough, right? It's definitely the better of the two divisions. But whatever, we'll get to that. Eddie kind of had a disappointing week this week. Never broke 20 points twice. Hard to come back from that. Alec only did it once, and Alec tore on the second half of the season. Ooh, Alec did it twice as well. I'm misspoken. But Alec was a little more consistent throughout the week, putting up 40 or more on 4 days. Eddie did have the biggest day of the week at 71, but he had a lot of lower days consistently. But this was definitely our lowest scoring affair of the week. Both teams under 260. So definitely our lowest score of the week. But nonetheless, good game of the week. Pretty close, 30 points. That's a fair matchup. And then we're going to go to the blowout. I think we all saw this coming. Cameron took care of business against Juice Balls and Johnny. 334.5 to 185. I mean, John started out pretty good, 45, followed by 26. Jesus Christ, what is going on that I'm like dying right now? 45 points, followed by 26, but then 14, 15, 6, 40, 39. Just couldn't get back up to those solid numbers, and really disappointing. Cameron had a couple of days where he put up solid 55-plus numbers and never scored less than 24, which isn't terrible, right? So Cameron took care of business, put up 334, pretty good numbers. I think it's one of the higher, third or fourth of the week scored, points scored. So good performance here by Cam. And then we go to the apartment rival, right? The two living in their house. It wasn't too close of a game. Honestly, Chumba took care of business. So I don't think... Wow, I can't fucking speak. Jesus Christ. I don't think punches were thrown. But I think that's because Jake didn't show up. He had a bit of a tough week. He had, again, very solid day, putting up 80 points on Tuesday. But the rest of the week, 75.5 on Sunday. But, he just couldn't compete the rest of the week, putting up 10 points on Tuesday. Did I say Tuesday already? The 80 points was on Wednesday. I don't know if I fucked that up. I'm doing terrible right now. But Chumba took care of business all week. Very, very consistent week for Chumba. Never putting up less than 32. And believe it or not, still was not the top scorer of the league this week. This week's top scorer, out of fucking nowhere, from the top rope, Team Badussi and Connor Donlin. Where 403.5? Where'd this come from for Mr. 4th place in the Long Island division, son? 4th place on 9 starts. Well, not 4th place on 9 starts. 403.5 points on 9 starts. Great game, Connor. Let's see. 123.5 on Tuesday. 118 on Sunday. Batters put up 196. Pitchers put up 207. And you know what? Brochard didn't have a terrible game. 337 would have beat everybody except for Chumba and Connor this week. You know, that's a good performance. Third highest in the league this week. Just couldn't pull it out. Connor, this is Connor's one game of the year where everyone's like, oh shit, Connor's coming. But he's not. Or is he? Who knows? And then we're gonna wrap it up with arguably the most interesting thing to happen this week. Tie game, boys. Listen, tie games suck. You know, nobody wants a tie in their record, and I'm pissed that it's me. But when does it happen in fantasy sports? How often do we get ties? I think we had a tie in football this year. I could be wrong, but that sounds familiar. Either way, having a tie, fantasy baseball, kind of big. 335, both of us. My computer was doing a really weird thing last night. My phone said 335. My computer said that Griff had 338. I would reload the page, and it would say 335 for a couple of seconds, and then it would pop up to 338. I was getting nervous. I closed the browser, opened up a new one. We were good. Tie game. But yeah, you know, I was a little nervous in this one. Griff had an 86-point performance on Wednesday. But he had a tough Thursday, only putting up 16 points to my 72. And I had 82.5 on Friday, right? So I had a good Thursday, Friday, and okay-ish Saturday. Griff had a way more consistent week, I would say. Consistently high. I was very roller coastery. I had 14, 42, 32, 72, 82, 61, 31, right? So like little weird of a week for me. Griff and I were texting all week, going back and forth, but yeah, what an interesting turn of events. It's going to make playoff standings real interesting. And because of this tie game, honestly, if I didn't tie this week, if Griff and I didn't tie this week, I wouldn't put myself in the spotlight like this. But I'm putting myself in the spotlight. Jake, you and I, we got the game of the week, son. We got the game of the week because Jake is second in the Upstate Division. I am third in the Upstate Division. And if I win to go to 7-3-1 and Jake's 7-4-1, I bump him in the standings, right? And again, this is the halfway point. Last week was the halfway point. We're past the halfway point. Week 20 is the final week of the season, right? So I guess technically this week, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, Jake, you and I, game of the week, bud. Big implications on the standings this week. So, hopefully that was pretty quick. I did some math this week, Jesus Christ, today. I did some calculations on who, since we're at the week 10, halfway through the regular season, who's had the best infield, the best outfield, the best starters, and the best bullpen. And some real interesting data came out of this, right? So our best infield so far this year goes to the Drippy Droppers. They've scored 1,166 points. I can't talk. 1,166 points so far, just from his infield. Brochard and the PED users came real close, 1,165. And I just want to clarify that if you had a recent injury, I took the person on your injured list and I bumped them where they would have been in your starting lineup. So, like, for example, I believe it's Jake. Jake had Aaron Judge, only been hurt for like a week, was better than one of the guys in his starting lineup right now. So I moved Aaron Judge into his starting lineup and took the other guy out. So it would have been the normal guy, right? When it comes to best outfield by far, not even close, placeholders. Cameron with the outfield, 962 points from his outfield. Second best, Sternly, Team Sternly that is, 820. Cameron is running away with the outfield. He's got some dogs out there. Corbin Carroll, Picked him one pick before me when I was going to take him. Dick. Got some dogs out there. Cameron is running away with the outfield. Moving into pitchers, real interesting stuff here. Real interesting stuff. Our number one pitching staff goes to the PED users, who were also the second infield, if you remember. Brochard's got a pretty solid team. Second infield, fourth for outfield, first for starting pitchers, eighth for bullpen. So loses it there a bit, but dangerous team, right in the middle throughout, right? 100. Fuck. Why? What the fuck? 1,414.5 points for Brochard starters. And I don't want to hear I dropped this guy, I pick him up. Blah, blah. I don't give a shit. If they were on your team today, they were included. Okay? I don't care if you dropped someone that was better. Suck it. I care less. Whoever's on your team today, that's who got counted. So I'm not going through every fucking matchup and being like, this guy could score this. Fuck you. But yeah. Real solid 14-14. Second place, not too far, but enough back. We got Chumba, 13-59. The reason Brochard has a half point is one of his guys is also like one of those like starters, relievers. I counted him as a starter because he was starting today. So I put him with the starters instead of the bullpen. So that's how he got a half point. But yeah, Chumba, you're second with the starting pitchers. When it comes to bullpen, this one surprised me. Eddie Cramsey, Lacey team name, first place with the bullpen, 725. I kind of expected myself. I'm leading the league in saves, so I kind of just expected to be at the top. But Eddie Cramsey, first place. I will also say one of my top closers was injured for the first month and a half of the season, so maybe that'll sway it. Maybe I'm coming back. Who knows? We'll see. I'm not far behind. I'm about 30 points behind at 686.5 for second place. But there's some real interesting stats in here. Like Alec, love you, buddy. You got to get some starters, man. You've only gotten 497 points from your starters. You have more points from your bullpen than you do from your starters, bud. What else did we have? Brochard, 260.5 from your bullpen. Got to bump that up. Johnny, nothing from your bullpen, 224. And then Chumba, the worst of them all, only 87 points. He's got one bullpen arm, not doing him much. The top three batters and the top three pitchers so far through the year. Griff, just so you know, I took Ohtani and I separated his batting and his pitching just because he's top 10 in both. And he's way in the lead for when it's overall points. But I separated him. He's top 10, but he's not top 3. Our top three batters, we got Ronald Acuna Jr. For Team Sternly. We got Freddie Freeman for BBC, backup bullpen catchers. And then Marcus Semien for the Lazy Team name. Those are our top three batters. Top three pitchers. More interesting info comes here. Nathan Eovaldi, Space Cadets. First, okay. Again, they're second overall for bullpen or for starting pitchers. Shane McClanahan, words from the Juice Balls team, second overall starting pitcher, and then Kevin Gausman. I know I said that wrong. That's not me speaking wrong. I don't know how to say his name. From Budussi, and they're third. Connor's third for, starting pitcher. So, some interesting things from the bottom of the leaderboards. I did want to point out that Juice Balls has two top 10 pitchers, right? Number 2, and Garrett Cole. The fourth ranked rotation in terms of points. The fifth ranked infield, so right in the middle. But 0 wins. Really makes you question about if there was a different manager, would that team still be 0-10? Would they? I don't know. Can't say. Looking forward, real quick updates on the standings. Team Wallach still sitting at the top of the Upstate Division. The Upstate Division, real tough, real tight, right? Just want to check something real quick. Okay, yeah. Interesting. So, Team Wallach sitting at the top, 7-2-1. Sternly right behind him, 7-3. That tie That tie saved Griff, right? Technically, well, Griff does have the lead in points for. I don't remember if we're a points for or a record against tiebreaker league, though. I'll have to look into that. I am sitting at 6-3-1 in third. Clubhouse Space Cadets in fourth, and Alec, the Drippy Droppers, down in fifth at 4-6. Which 4-6 in the Upstate Division would be fourth place in the Long Island Division. Which, I mean, is not much of a step up, but he's tied for Connor. You know, they're both 4-6. I did want to add, remember, we are doing top six. 6 teams go to the playoffs. The top 2 teams from 1 seed from each division gets the bye. After that, it's just the next 4 teams. So, Chumba is in the race at 5-5 because the Long Island division has 2 5-5 teams. So, Alec and Connor are not far out. They're 4-6. You know, if Connor keeps that kind of performance up, could see Connor make a playoff run here in the second half of the season. Long Island division, Big Bruisers and PED Users, 6-4. Again, they'd be in 4th place in the Upstate division, but they're sitting top in the Long Island division. Whatever. Lazy Team Name and Placeholder both sitting 5-5. Lazy Team Name is currently ahead. But Placeholder has the lead in points, which makes me think that we're a record against league. But I'll check into that as we get closer to the playoffs. Team Badussi 4-6, sitting in 4th place in Long Island, and Juice Balls 0-10, still has a 1% chance of making the playoffs, according to ESPN. So we're about the halfway point in our season, right? Gonna be interesting. As of right now, the 6 teams that are in are Wallach, Bruisers, in this order. Wallach, Bruisers, Sternly, myself, Chumba, Eddie. Lazy Team Name, right? So Cameron is on the bubble right now just because it's the top 4 after the 2 division leaders. Only the top 2 teams are guaranteed a spot. Everybody else, it's the next best 4. And those 2 teams do get a bye. Anyway, that is this week's update. Hopefully, I have a feeling. Let's guess. I can't see here, but it's a long one. I'm guessing 15 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back to the script. I know.